how's it going? Isabella here from AquaZone Aquarium Services, ponds, chickens, and the whole shebang. Brought to you from the cold Canada, hence my little tootsie. So today we're going to be talking HOB filter troubleshooting. Hang on back filter, one of the most ancient forms of filtration I've known in my life. But before we do that, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get my latest notifications. Alright, let's get started. Filters have a lot of little issues that arise. It's normal. Like every filtration, they have their little flaws. And in this video, I'm going to show you every single little ick that could happen. Ick, no point intended. Every little trouble that could happen with those filters, whether it's leaking or jamming or simply not functioning properly. So yeah, let's get started and talk one by one what problems could happen with your filter. Alright guys, so let's begin. There are several different type of hang-on bag filters. The current one I have on this tank for the demonstration is a Tidal 110. There's also the very popular Aqua Clear that comes in different sizes. There's the Aqua Top. There's the Fluval, which we'll also cover in this video. And I'm sure I'm missing a few, but there's several different companies that make hang-on bag filters. This being one of the best according to me because the motor is situated inside the water. Alright, so let's get back to troubleshooting. The number one problem I encounter, which is sometimes a silly little problem, is my filter is leaking. Well, the number one reason why your filter could be leaking is positioned right here. So you see a filter, a hang-on bag filter has to always be leveled, all right, in a straight line across the surface. And there's a little pin that most filters have right here that makes it tilted one way or the other in order for the filter to be straight all across. So if this pin was ever malpositioned and your filter would be leaning this way, meaning backwards, the water would not flow this way, but it would flow more out this way, right? So you have to always keep your filter straight on the top. So another thing that could happen is that it leaks from the motor part. I'll use this particular Fluval filter instead of this one because in this one, as I said, the motor is located in the water, so it cannot leak. But most hang-on bag filters are built with the motor outside, like right here. And the motor is connected to the canister through this piece here, which has inside a little rubber piece that holds it on a tight seal. Well, if the motor was ever to overheat or break or just poor maintenance, old filter, this seal could be broken and it could start leaking from here. Another thing that could also happen if it ever was to leak is that somewhere around this area or down below here or any part of the canister could have a small fissure or crack. Sometimes it's not easy to see it, but you would like to see a little hairline, and that could make it leak from the canister part. Next issue that I hear a lot is it is not pumping water. Okay, several things could happen. Number one, make sure that it is well positioned above the impeller slot, which is here. See, motor here, there, and inside you have a little slot in which you have to position your tube properly. That's the intake. And it has to be well positioned here. You also have to make sure that it's pushed in all the way. Usually there's like little ledges here. And if the lid fits well, it's usually well placed. And also this moves into position, so you can sometimes just move this pin into position of these filters. The Aqua Clear and Aqua Top also have the exact same system. Another way of knowing why it's not pumping, well, maybe it's just not reaching the water. Maybe this is right above the surface of the water and the next piece that connects to it is just not in the water properly enough. Usually this filter works above the connector line. So it has to be at least here in the water to pump water. Otherwise, one, it can overwork the motor, and secondly, it's just sucking up too much air. Another thing is there's a crack in the intake. If the intake is cracked, well, it'll suck up air and it won't properly pump in. Another way of knowing why it's not working, well, maybe it's just dirty on the inside and you gotta clean it out. That could just be the silly little solution when you just have too much caca inside of your filter where it's not pumping. Another reason why the filter is not working could be the motor. This motor, if it was ever to burn out, short circuit, let's say there's water that falls on this, it shorts, then it will just kill the motor and you need a new motor. But there's other factors that could influence the motor not working. Let's explore them. Now for this troubleshoot, I will need you to remove the intake tube, this particular piece. So remove this and look inside of your motor right here. You see, this is your impeller, the thing that spins, and connected to that, there's a magnet. Now, it could be a silly thing such as a snail that's jamming it, or maybe you have some seaweed or a plant or whatever, maybe a dead fish is jamming that from spinning, because it should be spinning. Maybe there's not enough water inside of your hang-on back filter. So your hang-on back filter can only work if there's water inside. Okay, that's the only way you'll ever spin. But if there's water and nothing jamming, by the way, let's just dismount it and look at it. So I just needed to do a half turn to the left to remove the motor out of the canister, which is here. So it was like this, so I turned it this way. And that's your motor, okay? There's a little pin. This, in some of them, is removable. That's the impeller shaft. And this is your impeller, okay? This impeller is a magnet connected to a turbine. This is your turbine. This is your magnet, okay? Always make sure this is clean. So this usually goes right here, okay? It pops right into place. And you have to always keep it clean now and then. And remember that little rubber I told you? It's right here. That's what makes this seal tight. All right, so if your motor is not spinning, make sure it's not jammed. Secondly, make sure that it actually goes in and out properly. It's hard a bit with one hand, but sometimes when the motor is not spinning and you let it, plugged in, this part expands and traps this from spinning. You understand? When it heats up, it expands, meaning this piece is broken and this piece can no longer turn. So you need to replace this piece. Now I've put it back inside. As you can see, it's back here. I turned it this way. The motor is back in place. We've determined that the motor is not the actual defect. It is just your impeller. Okay, so you cannot go to the store tonight or tomorrow, but you need it to work, okay? Very easy trick. Let's do it together. You fill it up with water. You plug it in. You take a chopstick. You put it in the motor. And you spin it 1-2 times clockwise like that. And that should restart the impeller right away. A lot of times, since it's a magnet, it sometimes just demagnetizes over time. So you need to replace your little impeller maybe every 2 to 5 years, depending on the filter, the quality of it. But if you have a power outage and it's not turning back on, you can just use the chopstick trick that I just showed you to turn it back on. But it has to be turned on and full of water to function. And once it starts spinning, you just put this thing back in like that, and it should start pouring water out. I can't emphasize more on reminding you that you always need to have your hang-on back filter full of water for it to function. If you ever leave it plugged in and it's not spinning for several hours to several days, you will 100% damage the actual motor of the filter, and that will need to be replaced. So save yourself some money and just get a new impeller to make it spin properly, and so that when you're away from your tank and if ever you lose power or something jams it, that you don't break the actual motor of it. Otherwise, these filters are absolutely amazing filters. They keep the water crystal clear, as I can show you right here. This one, I have it hooked up on a 110 gallon. Obviously, I have my undergravel filter working on it, but you can see how clean it is, how crystal clear the water always is. These are one of my favorite filters if I have to choose filters. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video, that it helped you out. And if you ever have any questions, ask me in the comments below and give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. All right, guys, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.